Today, the Activision uprising gets real.
Then, what if the AI problem at Facebook just can't be solved?
And Thanksgiving, how tech can help solve thorny problems.
Plus, tech and the parade, because, well, it's the parade.
I'm Alexis Scordato, and this is Future Forward.
I am Stephen Rosenbaum. Let us launch. Hey, Alexa.
Steve, I'm in such denial that we're talking about Thanksgiving.
You know,
it's dark outside.
Oh, sorry. The other robot is yammering on in the background. Excuse me. Alexa, shut up. Not you.
I know. This is like a part of my work from home life.
Yeah. All right. Sorry about that. I should tell you, in addition to loving, Halloween and other, I am a huge fan of the Thanksgiving Day parade.
I mean, as an Upper West Sider, how could you not be? Do you go watch the balloons get blown up every year?
When we had small children, we did. And it went from being this charming little, no one knew about it in the neighborhood thing to being just like, when the NYPD does this insane route where you go in at 67th Street and then you have to walk down and then you make a left turn and then you go back up and it's like this ribbon. It's like they took a playbook from the Disney line trick, only they do it not well. And so it's just torturous.
Right.
And so, no, we have not been in a while, but it is also in our building. It is the 3 days in the year when they raise the parking rates exorbitantly.
I bet. I mean, it's probably. Oh, wait, the public can park in your building?
Well, it's a public. The building has a public parking lot for.
Oh, okay, but residents can access it.
Yeah. I don't think it raises. I don't think they raised the price for the. I haven't had a car in a really long time. All right, let's. We've got 3 chapters today. They're all going to be really fun. But I want to just jump in and start and talk about Activision because, it's a great story and it's a terrible story, kind of at the same time.
And probably for me at least, the least surprising news in the history of gaming news.
So I guess I don't understand that. Why?
It's 2 parts. It's like one, in this Me Too era, right? Like how many instances of men in privileged, powerful positions have abused their positions and been negligent of bad behavior, right? Like it's just this is the time that we're living in. It's just inevitable. Things are just going to surface. And I'd say that, the gaming community is notorious for actually having a very toxic culture, going back to Gamergate.
So maybe for listeners who don't know what Activision is, you'll know about the brands, right? Let's just talk about the brands for a minute.
Yeah, it's Activision Blizzard. So they produce Warcraft, Call of Duty,
Guitar Hero,
StarCraft, Overwatch.
So lots of big, very profitable games and almost 5,000 employees.
More than that. I actually saw in 2019, they reported 9,700. So they're probably over 10,000 employees.
So big company, but I guess what I don't get is, so maybe we should talk about what the act. So there's a huge employee uprising. They want the CEO out, right?
Right. There was at the Wall Street Journal, they broke news that their CEO, Bobby Kotick, basically knew of wrongdoings, right, in various parts of the country and company and did nothing. And also was complicit.
So without getting into details that aren't public or that, that are just too uncomfortable, when you say wrongdoing, he did, is it sexual harassment? Is it racist? What is he accused of?
I mean, it was in multiple accounts of harassment over several years, where it's okay, if I were an employee and I filed an official HR complaint and I would say, hey, my supervisor discriminated against me for XYZ, or I was at a company event and there was, an inappropriate like breach of misconduct that took place and nothing happened.
All right. So here's the Washington Post paragraph that I think helps clarify the board's now concern. In contrast with past company statements, CEO Bob Kotick was aware of many incidents of sexual harassment, sexual assault, gender discrimination at Activision Blizzard, but failed to ensure that executives' managers responsible were terminated or to recognize or address the systemic nature of the company's hostile workplace culture. The shareholders, led by Strategic Organizing Center Investment Group, wrote in a joint letter addressed to the company's board of directors and shared with the Washington Post. Okay, a whole lot of dumb questions here. Like, it's a big company, it has lots of revenue. Like, what does the board have to gain by not either disciplining or holding the CEO responsible?
I mean, I think this is like another, related conversation about board governance, right? Like the incentives are misaligned in the sense that, they're almost there to protect the CEO.
Right.
And so if things like this happen, and then they piss off shareholders and their stock goes down and they lose money.
But if you've got if you've got 10% of your workforce so upset that they're walking off the job, I mean, at some point, doesn't the company just start to actually kind of collapse of its own dysfunction?
I mean, you would think so, but I mean, if it depends on how the relationships on the board and how they're structured, you can make the argument, how come Facebook's board didn't move to replace Mark Zuckerberg years ago? Like the moment the Cambridge Analytica scandal broke, how is that not a conversation that resulted in the board removing Mark Zuckerberg and potentially Sheryl Sandberg?
Yeah, well, we'll get to Facebook in a minute because there's a good story
but it's like a good example. Again, I think
Yeah.
why I said in the beginning, this is one of the least surprising stories, is that we continue to see these headlines in tech where leaders are failing their constituents being employees, shareholders, etc. And then the boards are also failing to actually hold, the CEO's like feet to the fire. Like there's just no accountability. But I think what's incredible is that you are seeing movements inside the workplace where workers are taking action, and it's creating conversation and attention in a way that's unprecedented.
So Girls Who Code have dropped their Activision Blizzard partnership over failure of company leadership. I mean,
right. And the executive of Microsoft, Xbox, like the head of the Xbox division at Microsoft, has also talked about distancing the relationship with Blizzard.
I mean, the problem with this is when we rattle off the names of the games at the beginning of the pod, I mean, all of those titles just mint money, right?
Right.
So even if you never updated them ever again and didn't make new versions and just sold them to everyone who gets a console, it's a little like Microsoft Word. It just mints money.
Yeah. I mean, but I think you still, change is needed, change is wanted, and maybe this is the actual catalyst where they can turn it around. But it would likely mean a massive shift in leadership.
So I guess the distinction I would make between, and again, I don't know the gamer space as well as you do, but it seems to me that the CEO of a company that's got 6 or 8 blue chip titles and needs to update them and do new versions and fix bugs, like that's not like Zuckerberg. I could see why the shareholders would defend him, because whatever the thing is he's building, arguably they're not done building it yet, and he's still doing the visionary guy thing, which I know I'm going to get a hate mail for that, and I'm not sure that's actually even right. But I don't see how the changing at the CEO at Activision has any meaningful impact for shareholders. I don't see how it, you know. Again, I don't know what his day-to-day job is.
I mean, one thing to know about these games is like they're essentially like great examples of actually like the meta world, I guess, right? They're interactive, they're role playing oriented, they're sort of third spaces where people are going to interact. And so I think even though it's not necessarily considered a social network, you can say that the ecosystem and the communities that are the underpinning of these games, the fact that they're not governed in a way that is inclusive, equitable, that they have a non harassment, zero tolerance sort of culture, is like a huge risk.
So,
Not only for shareholders, but like society at large.
so place your bets. He weathers the storm and gets a slap on the wrist, or he's out.
Oh man, it's super hard to tell. I don't know who the board is. I don't know the relationships.
All friends of his.
I mean, again, it's possible that he's going to hire like a chief diversity officer, a new head of HR. There are already 20 people who have exited the company and 20 more who've gotten warnings. And so they're going to go on a whole corporate comms roadshow where they're going to kind of pacify the 1,000 plus workers who are up in arms over this. And I don't know. I'm going to say it's going to be 51% too little, too late, 49%. Okay, this is going to set like a precedent in the industry.
And by the way, is there anybody? I mean, I don't know the data, but I'm presuming that the buyers of these games are more male than female.
Mm-hmm.
So, is there anybody going into Best Buy and picking up World of Warcraft and going, I don't know, I heard bad things about the company and putting it back on the shelf? Is it having any impact on the bottom line of the place?
I mean, it could. I mean, again, I think this younger consumers are pretty. They want their purchases to be aligned with their values. I'm not saying companies will go bank. I'm not saying they're going to go bankrupt, but
You said something earlier about these games being worlds, and one of the things about this whole discussion about the metaverse, which strangely enough Facebook probably pushed into being a public conversation, the fact that Netflix 3 months ago reasonably quietly has started building a gaming vertical, that's their hedge against, if you want something immersive and participatory, we're going to figure out some way to offer you that on a subscription basis.
Yeah. I mean, these games are like the gateway into the metaverse being a reality.
Games are the metaverse, are the gateway into the metaverse. That's a good, or they are the metaverse, or a metaverse.
Right. Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on. So I'm gonna place my bet. I'm gonna say that the CEO is out. That he's wealthy as Crodius. He's got other stuff he wants to do. That the drumbeat of unhappy employees isn't going to go away without a head they can put on a spike, and that and he's more than just ignoring these problems. He's probably part of that culture. So that's my bet. So we'll see what happens. All right, let's move on to chapter 2 because it's equally juicy, and talk about Facebook. So this is a story in the Atlantic. And the headline is, I made the world's blandest Facebook profile just to see what would happen.
Yep.
So the writer is Caitlin Tiffany. And she talks about the fact that there have been all of these other people who've done right-wing profiles and left-wing profiles and seen kind of how the rabbit hole behaves. But her idea, which I think was pretty innovative, was literally just to be bland.
Mm-hmm.
And her story, she just liked nice thing, pizza and the Rolling Stone, and didn't go didn't
Random pages, not necessarily like right wing politics
no
pages.
politicians,
Right.
no politicians, no issues. And the journey, the algorithm takes her down without any help from her is really fucking just scary.
It still shows her like very controversial things, lewd comments, like just kind of very toxic content.
Yeah, and also strangely suggests friends of her, like friends you may like, that are like just not any, like she get no, based on no. So part of what we're trying to disassemble here is the underlying Facebook lookalike audience algorithm, right? Which is, if you say you like Oprah and pizza and the Rolling Stones and Hello Kitty, does it find another person who happens to be in the Midwest, who likes some, like, it's not just proximity or school or, you went to the same, yoga studio. It's you look this person who may not be anywhere near you physically may be kind of like you and have similar tastes.
Right.
But it's surprisingly random and creepy.
Are you surprised? Were you surprised by the outcome?
Well, I mean, I guess if you think about it logically, right? I mean, the algorithm says new person signs up for Facebook, I have to fill these 15 slots 3 times a week, which is a friend, a band, a food product, business. So it's out there gouging around looking for things in the algorithm, to stuff to fill these holes. And if you don't give it, if it uses bad data or you don't give it reasonable data, it just fills it with garbage.
Mm-hmm. Or it's not necessarily garbage. It's just miscellaneous content that is probably intended to provoke, right? Because then if it shows you something and you react to it, then you're telling it something.
So I am still on Facebook, although moving in kind of away from it for a variety of reasons, some of them political and some of them just mental bandwidth. But like, I have told Facebook with a click probably 150 times that I don't want to have it recommend, people I might like or famous people. And it continues to just pull up stuff that, I mean, the only way I can describe it, and if there's Facebook developers listening, it just makes me angry.
Well, one thing that to remember is that Facebook merged its backend across Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger, and then the core Facebook.com experience. And so, like, when I have these conversations with people, it's like, I'm not on Facebook. I'm like, okay, but your activity on Instagram, like when you click that ad or you added this person as a friend, it's like all part of the same ecosystem.
Right. I like no celebrities. I like no television stars. I have 1 or 2 musical artists, but I really make an effort to not, like, I'm just not interested in having recommendations like that. I mean, so far the best recommendation that I've gotten in the last 3 weeks was from you recommending a television show on Hulu, which, by the way, is a clue about curation and why I believe at the end of the day, I never would have clicked on that show. This is Murder in the Building, which I don't know why. I mean, I literally walked by while they were shooting it. I took pictures of the crew. I posted pictures of the shoot.
It has actors, it's not like random people.
And it just never made its way into my mental queue. And then you said, hey, this is kind of funny. And I was like, the minute I watched the first episode, I was like, that's what friends do for other friends, which is, hey,
it also has like a fun podcast element in it.
Yeah. and by the way, the restaurant you asked me about, the answer is yes. I've been there 3 times. It's delicious. Okay. No, but like, whatever, that was always the mission behind curation back before it became robotic and algorithmic, was that people who are friends of mine and who I know, who I would go to a concert with, or I would go to a movie with, or I would go out to dinner with, I want to know what they're doing because I'm interested in their recommendations, as opposed to you went here, so you might like this. Anyway,
right.
So I think this Facebook article, in a way that, I've been following obviously all of the Frances Haugeland, whistleblower story. There's something about this story that I ended up feeling like Facebook was even more broken than I thought it was. Not just that people were trying to use the platform to do bad things, in which case they could figure out how to identify the bad people and then limit them.
I don't know if this is, not that I'm defending Facebook, I just don't know if this is unique to Facebook. So Matt, my husband, he's on Instagram. He's not on Facebook anymore. And he is like immune from being marketed to. Like we're, as we've talked about on the show, like we're actively shopping for like baby products and stuff. My entire feed and like retargeted ad content is stuff I've seen or I'm potentially interested in, and he gets none of it. And like he's so intentional about clearing his cookies. He's so intentional about having fake email aliases. Like it's complex in terms of like doing it, but when you do it, it can be done.
I don't know. I'm on an endless unsubscribe kick. All right, so let's get on to Thanksgiving because there's a lot to cover here. So first of all, it's a little bit of a landmine. What are we thankful for? America. It's a little like the 4th of July. I always feel like, oh yay, I'm celebrating America. Complicated. Then, for my non-meat eating friends, there's the turkey part problem. But let's talk about, I like this article we found from CMIT Solutions because it was like 5 ways technology can make Thanksgiving better. What's not to love about that, right?
Right.
So and with the understanding that some of our listeners are going to be upset by, some portion of this, but let's start with So there were 5 suggestions, and we'll just go through them and then we'll dig in a little bit. So the first one was cooking and meal prep, and they basically were like, they had specific ideas about shopping, planning apps, essentially kitchen pad, timer, interactive scales. They had a kind of a list of cooking and meal planning apps. And I am using them, particularly for menu, trying to do a little bit of diversity on the menu, trying to be healthy, trying to do some different vegetable things, trying to do less things that are either candied or have melted marshmallows on the top. We don't really do that. Do you cook?
I do.
Are you cooking this year? Are you going somewhere? Do you have
going to my parents, but I usually help make sides. My dad does the turkey and I handle the sides.
So do you know anything you can share that it's unique to you? I'm not saying your name because I didn't mute the other one.
Okay. Okay. In a lot of Italian American households, like it's a little ridiculous because we have like a huge antipasto course. So like it's so easy to get full on meats, cheeses, just in the beginning. We've scaled back in recent years, but we used to do like pasta during Thanksgiving. No, like it's like part of the meal. My dad usually does baked clams. Like we have like 2 or 3 extra courses in there that are not like part of your regular Thanksgiving.
Baked clams.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So suggestion number 2, Skype, Facebook, or video calling services. Again, people are far away. Not everyone's going to be able to come. Seems like the COVID lockdown is lifting, although God knows what that means in real life. I'm glad we're not getting, nobody in my family is getting on planes.
Yeah.
Um,
Same.
we were out walking the dogs yesterday, and there was a husband and wife and 3 children, and they all were dragging, rolly bags on their way to the car. And every bone in my body would say to them, "No, stay home. Don't go. It's going to be terrible. You're taking, like if you're going to the airport, don't go to the airport."
Yeah.
But they were, all right. So,
so what are your favorites from this list, or like not list? Like, what are, as a technophile, what are your pro tips for technology in the holidays?
Skype is dead.
Everyone knows how to use Zoom now. Everyone knows how to use Zoom or FaceTime.
FaceTime seems to be a family thing. I don't fully understand. I mean, if I'm obliged to do FaceTime, I will. Google Meet also dead. Yeah, I would say Skype.
Zoom giving.
No, I would say Zoom of all of them. And also nobody, whatever that Facebook device was that was supposed to be a family network. Yeah, that total fail, right?
It's still alive. It's like in the portfolio of
I know, but
Facebook,
they sold like
the Meta family. Yeah.
But they sold like 3 of them.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the most high tech thing, but like honestly, a great Bluetooth speaker and like having a playlist on Spotify or Pandora teed up. It's great.
That's
when you're cooking or just background music.
But I just want to say, not Christmas songs though.
I definitely was listening to Christmas music yesterday.
Oh, you're killing me. Really? Before Thanksgiving?
Yeah. Before Thanksgiving. I literally was in like Home Goods earlier today, and I bought these little Christmas hat wine stoppers. I'm like, in the way that you're like crazy about Halloween, I'm like crazy about Christmas.
I know, but it's all right.
A different episode.
Yeah. Well, there'll be plenty of time for that. All right. So next, entertainment. So Pam and I talked about this. We have a lot of people coming. We're not a football family, so we're not going to do that. We have certainly from time to time. We love the parade. We're blocks away from the parade, but I'm not sure we'll go. Although I would go, but like I don't know what the weather is going to be like. If it's blisteringly cold, then maybe not. And we don't have any small children. The parade is a child thing. But we have watched Puppy Bowl on a couple of occasions.
I like to have the parade on like in the background. And yes. I do think that if you can record either DVR or if you have like YouTube or Hulu Premium, like you can record it and you can fast forward if you want to see like a musical act or a Broadway cast. I think it's good for that.
So the problem with that is you have to actually then control it because the yammer of the hosts is insane. So you have to turn that down. And then when the performance comes, you have to go and turn the volume. It's like
I know.
That's a great, by the way, there ought to be a feed for the parade with no hosts, just music and then crowd noise.
That's cool. Actually, I mean, tangent. There are so many ways to slice and dice content and broadcasts that no one is pursuing.
I think if it were me, I might go down to Macy's and set up my iPhone on a tripod and just broadcast a clean feed of the parade.
Yeah, I mean, you can actually cast your phone. Like you can use Apple TV and just mirror your phone to any TV.
And Roku does it too.
Right. And so just pull up like a random Instagram, Twitter user, Twitcher.
So I don't know that we're going to DVR or TiVo anything, but we are talking about like getting out the chessboard, getting out the Scrabble board, like having having some games out.
Have you ever played Jackbox TV?
I don't know what that is.
So jackbox.tv, if you go to the URL, you actually like buy a gaming pack. And then the way it works is they're group games. And so everyone has their phone. You visit jackbox.tv. You enter the unique game code, right, for your room that everyone can see on the television. And then you can play like an interactive game.
I'm
And
looking
it's
at
like
it.
there could be like trivia, and then people answer on their phones. It could be like a drawing game, and then people are doodling on their phones. It's very fun.
It seems like it wants me. Here's what's interesting. I'm now so here. I thought I was showing it to you, but I wasn't. So I'm on the site. I went to Jackbox. It immediately wanted a room code and a name, which I obviously don't have because I don't know anything about it.
Oh, that's the experience of like now. If I was in your living room and we were going to play,
right,
we would go to Jackbox TV, enter this room code, and then we would play.
But shouldn't there be a for a newbie like me? Shouldn't there be a here's what you can find?
I think the bottom right, is that what that carousel is down there? These are all games. Can you click them? No. Yeah, here's where you buy the games.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a strange
UI, right?
Yeah, it's like they might have an A in games, but they get a B in UI because I would. You gotta sell me. No.
Yeah.
Wow, and they want money right up front, and it's not cheap.
No, it's like if you were buying a board game, but at least it's a party pack because there are like multiple games in one set.
Well, again, you're recommending it, so
Matt
I'm
and I will literally set up a Jackbox, and you and Pam can play with us one night.
All right. Well, I wish that they were being a little bit more welcoming to me as a new potential user. All right. Anyway, so back to the last suggestions here, and then we got to talk about the parade for a minute, and then we're going to run out of time. So they're saying the last two ideas is electric carving knife. Doesn't sound very technology advanced, but ask anyone who has had to cut up a turkey the old-fashioned way. They prefer the semi-sharp blade or the electric carving knife.
My dad will not carve a turkey unless it's with his electric carving knife.
So if I go on Amazon right now and order electric carving knife, it'll come tomorrow?
Yeah, you can definitely get one.
I bet it'll come in 2 hours. I might do that. That might be. I've never had one.
Oh,
are they battery powered now? Of course they are.
I'm sure you can even get one that's like Bluetooth enabled or something, and it's going to hook up to some digital thermometer or something.
Hold on. So long as we're playing Amazon
electric carving knife.
No, electric turkey. Wow. Okay.
These are all regular.
Yeah. $49. Ouch. All right, hold on. Let's sort by load of.
And it's weird because it's only like we don't eat turkey any other time of the year, so it really is something you're using once a year.
All right.
So specialized.
So yeah, $24.
It's like the equivalent of like an electric toothbrush. Do you need it? No, but if you have ever used an electric toothbrush,
but that's not the same combination because electric toothbrush theoretically makes your teeth healthier. Electric carving knife, I mean, the only thing you could use it for is to. Never mind. These all appear to be plugs, though. I don't see battery.
Okay.
And 24. I was thinking it was going to be like Amazon stupid cheap. Like, I mean, I guess here, Elite Cuisine, $20. Get it tomorrow. It tomorrow. Cordless, as seen on $19. Battery powered knife.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was fun. Okay.
Let's see what do you have to say about the parade in the last minute.
So I was looking around. The History Channel has a whole article about Thanksgiving parade tech. And this is actually a show on the History Channel about Thanksgiving parade tech.
There's something you should DVR.
Yes. I don't even know. Do I get the History Channel? I guess I must.
Do you have cable?
Sort of. I've got super cheap cloud cable, something or another. I don't have the wire. I have it through my internet. All right. So I was going to show you a little bit of it, but of course I have to show a commercial first. So there is a lot of great. Here we go. This is we'll put the link in the show notes. This is the technology of the parade. Now, if you remember back in the day, the balloons used to fly higher. They've since kind of dragged them down to ground level for safety. And I liked when they were way up in the air, when they went by the buildings. That being said, this is some great old classic footage of the technology of the parade. I have never been a balloon handler, but if I made any, I would do that. I would march in the parade and carry one of those helium balloons. I think I would.
I know someone who does it with his mom every year.
How did he get hooked up? He works at Macy's now.
No, I think it was just process, but he's been doing it for years. I was fascinated by it. Maybe we should get him as a guest.
Would you ask him if there's like a secret
process,
website
like a form?
I would do that next year. That would be fun.
Yep, I will.
All right, we are out of time. Happy holidays.
Turkey Day.
All right, see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.